Welcome to EdTech Talk, where we dive deep into the dynamic world of educational technology, course design, and feature faculty insights in higher education. I'm your host, Joy Ray, and in this episode, we are joined with Jason Sitek, our customer success manager with Echo360, and Trevor Tufano, our educational technology specialist. So, welcome. Now, Echo360 is a great resource that the college provides for our instructors. It is a place where we can create, capture, manage, store, and search for videos. Due to all of its many great capabilities, the CTLE wants to ensure all instructors are familiar with it so they can make informed decisions about what and how they could use it in their courses. So before we dig into this interview, can you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves? Jason, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, thank you, Trevor and Joy, for having me. It's great to be here recording this morning. Well, it's morning when we're recording this. It may not be when you're listening, but I'm Jason Sitek, like I said. So I've been with Echo 360 for about 2.25 years. I joined the company um, right after Labor Day of September or 2022. But my background is pretty deep with Echo itself, but then also within the North Carolina community college system. So prior to joining Echo 360, I worked just down Highway 421 from y'all in Wilkesboro at Wilkes Community College. I was an instructional technology specialist there for about 7 years. Well, let's call it 6.5. And then administering EchoVideo on the Wilkes campus as well, but then also as an LMS kind of backup and administrator there, and responsible for a lot of the same learning technologies that you guys experience on campus. So really kind of coming up, I guess, on about a decade of working with EchoVideo in some capacity, like every single day, and happy to share a little bit more with you guys.
Great, thank you. Trevor?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Trevor Tufano, and I am a educational technology specialist with the CTLE. I've been working with the CTLE for about 6 years now, and I have a background. My background is in mainly audio video production. I'm also a Forsyth Tech graduate, and I did a lot of work with that there. And yeah, I love using Echo Video in our institution, and also kind of just showing our different faculty how to use it. And yeah, it's great.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here and sharing your knowledge with us and all the instructors at Forsyth Tech. So to get started, Jason, do you want to tell us a little bit about what Echo 360 is specifically Echo Video?
Yeah, I would love to. So Echo 360 has been around over 20 years. We've been a leader in I'm kind of like ed tech and even some corporate training and L&D spaces, trying to just kind of grow and impact either organically, or we've had a couple of, say, strategic acquisitions like in between then. But ultimately, Echo 360 is a global company enabling transformative learning experiences for education and also for business through what we call the ecosystem, which is the world's first and only learning transformation platform. So delivering dynamic content creation, engagement, and assessment of education and training regardless of scale. So going from, just a single instructor all the way up to like a large organization. Um, we were the first to scale within like the polling and kind of gamification space for higher ed with a product called Turning Point, which some of you may remember if you ever had like a turning voting clicker device in some of your classes or in college, now known as Echo Poll and fully cloud-based. First and most favored digital assessment solution with ExamView, now known as Echo Exam. Most recently, we acquired a company called Inkling, who was a pioneer in like content authoring, and so we lead in delivering a lot of like frontline training solutions with our product Echo Inc. But we're talking about Echo Video today, so that's where we really want to like target in. Echo Video is a comprehensive platform enabling users to create, manage, edit video content seamlessly. We offer features like lecture capture, live streaming, some interactive quizzing, detailed analytics. So it's pretty ideal for the higher ed environment seeking to like enhance engagement and some of those learning outcomes that everyone looks to at the end of each year.
Yeah, I'm really excited for us to dig into those features that the faculty will be able to use when they get into Echo. So, can you show us around the home screen and what it looks like so we could become familiar with it?
Yes. So I'm primarily showing kind of like there's a direct login that I'll be using, but primarily for Sitek users, it all runs through your learning management system, Blackboard. So Trevor's great at helping folks get that like set up on campus. And kind of the way I like to describe it is what you see going through Blackboard or what you see going through like the like direct login is identical. So it's just a matter of whether it's like framed out by Blackboard or not, but all of your functionality, it's essentially a window into the same destination. So let me share my screen here and we'll get started.
I'll just say that is great. That's something that we've tried to streamline in courses, is just so that students know where to go and that it's not different from different things they enter. So that is great for Echo.
Yeah, and I think that familiarity is actually really important, and really speaks to I think the impact Echo Video can have on campus is there's so much fragmentation out there that when you look at the resources the school wants to use, it's like where can we meet students where they already like have equal access. So there's no additional work really required for a student to use this because it's going through Blackboard. So they've got their email address, they've got their like Blackboard or LMS account, like that's going to touch every single student at an institution. And so for us to be able to work at that level, is a really big help for driving that adoption and just like ease of use ultimately. Because I think we can all think of times in our schooling life where if it was hard to access something, it really didn't make us want to use it a whole lot after that. And so we've always tried to avoid that just by making it as easy as possible. So let me
Yeah, and well, that there's a term for that called cognitive load, and when you're able to reduce that cognitive load, it really allows you to focus on the content of that subject matter, which is great.
Yeah, and we'll see. I think we're going to see a lot of that here today. So I'm going to share my browser. Again, I'm using Google Chrome, but we'll work with basically any of the latest versions of your modern browser. So whether that's if you're a Mac user, you can use Safari. I just tend to use Chrome out of pure familiarity at this point. But where we are first and foremost is I'm logged in. We'll see right up here. This is the Forsyth Tech environment, but I'm logged in as an instructor, as we can see right here. And the first place I'm brought to when I access is my library. What's really awesome about the library within Echo Video is that this is essentially kind of like your camera roll on your smartphone, in the sense that everything you've ever taken or anything that people have shared with you is available right here. A real distinctive of Echo Video is that we also don't cap your storage. So at no, like, we want you guys to use this. We want to make it easy and have a secure, unlimited place for you guys to store the video content that you're using for your courses, whether or not you created it using one of our like proprietary like capture methods. So if you've got video files on your computer and you want to use them for your classes, like put them in Echo Video. One thing you'll probably hear me say it a couple more times. I've only got like 6 jokes, so like you'll probably hear most of them multiple times. But once it's uploaded into Echo, like we treat it, you can edit it like it was an Echo created content. You can make it interactive like it was and get those analytics for it. So please throw your stuff into Echo. We're happy to walk you through it. Excuse me. But the library, really functions kind of like as that catch-all place for all of your content. You can see, the owner of everything in here. And as I scroll down, I've also had some content that's been shared with me by some other instructors at different times. So it's a quick way to see like, what I have access to, what those instructors have shared with me. And then across the top, I've got a great search bar. One of my favorite, I think, just overall highlights of Echo Video is how good our search functionality is. So if I just do like a quick partial search, it very quickly isolates out the content that that I might have searched for, and I can, hit the minus button and just come right back out here. Got some great filter options to be able to filter that down a little bit, but ultimately, if it's yours and you've created it, it's going to go in your library and you can find it from there. We've also got our courses. So this is where I could access, a course that I'm enrolled into very quickly to view that content, or we're going to talk about how you can actually publish your content from your library into a course a little bit later. And we've also got some newer features, one being collections, which is kind of like a collaborative repository for a user or multiple users to store, collaborate, maybe share and use someone else's content. I know, especially in North Carolina, seems like there's a lot of master courses out there. And so this is a great way for everyone to kind of pool their content for, making sure there's common resources across all the different sections at a level. And then folders is a new method of content management that for Sitek is kind of on the more cutting edge of having turned on already. We'll be seeing a lot more about that as kind of like the years roll on, but we really see it as much more like hyper flexible, collaborative content management style than we've kind of historically had. And we're really excited about it and expect to see a whole lot more. Hopefully you like the sound of my voice, because I would love to do another episode of this squarely on folders as well. So we can start from there. But ultimately at the top is we've got this, big Raspberry create button right here. And this is what will allow you to begin like triggering your first capture. So where I like to start kind of from the bottom and work my way up. We've got a Zoom integration integrated with Forsyth Tech. So if you have that configured, you trigger a Zoom recording to the cloud. When that recording's done, it will automatically upload into Echo Video, which is, again, we're not capping your storage. So it can be a helpful cost savings to reduce some of that like Zoom cloud storage as well. You can also upload media. So if you've got, MP4 files or WAV files or, other recordings, on your computer, and you want to have them in like a common location for all of your students, and you want to be able to make it easy on yourself and just sort of, share them all with like one common method, please upload those in. When you click on upload media. Oh, probably my internet more than anyone else's. But as we click on it here, it brings up our file picker, so you can upload things right from your device. And then we also integrate with any of these other cloud storages as well. So a lot of North Carolina community college schools went with the Microsoft 365 route, so you can connect your OneDrive for Business. You can, refresh that as you need to, and kind of pull your recordings in from there, especially if you're using Teams or if you've just got some other video shared within OneDrive. Our software capture, this will launch what we call Echo360 Universal Capture, which is some software you can have installed right on your computer to begin capturing your video content. We default to having like any two or any combination of two video inputs. So most commonly, that's usually like your webcam and a screen that you want to record. For some instructors, they like to do two screens. Others like to do two cameras in sort of like an interview sort of situation. So there's a lot of flexibility out there. And we've also got a beta feature right now, but should be in fully released later this year, where you can have up to 4 video inputs recorded there, which is super impressive. You can also live stream right from it as well. So Winston-Salem, definitely in the part of North Carolina where if any sort of precipitation sticks to the ground, you're probably not going to school that day. So especially thinking about some of your more like cohort-based, programs, nursing, respiratory therapy, things where it's kind of hard to just like make up that time because there's such a dedicated goal at the end of the program. I've had a lot of instructors use the live stream functionality, and basically it allows them to broadcast out their lecture to the students from home, provided that they have power and things like that, to alleviate the need to like remediate or do a lot of review the next time the class gets together. Um, I think my favorite capture method, just because I've seen usage explode at a couple schools, in North Carolina as well, but also ultimately making it really easy for students to utilize EchoVideo as well. That's sort of like a foreshadow of where I think we'll probably go later on in our conversation. But we've also got a browser capture, which is just opens right in a brand new tab. Here I am. Now you can see me twice. But no software required to install it. What's been really helpful as well is with some of your like dual enrolled high school students. They may be bringing devices onto campus that are not managed by themselves personally or managed by the college. And so this is the way to help them utilize EchoVideo without having to like do any additional installations, or kind of like work outside of Forsyth Tech. Your security, your data are ultimately very, very important to us as well. So we want to keep that in there. So you can, record right from here. You can publish it to some of your courses as well. But it's just a lovely way right from within your browser to go ahead and create that content from there.
Yeah, I really like how clean it looks with just very simple, straightforward options that you have. And I really appreciate I do a lot of these recordings via Zoom. This one is via Zoom. And the idea that I just hit record and then it's going to upload directly into Echo360 once it's done is fantastic. I don't have to worry about like getting the Zoom link and then saving it. And then I actually share it to a collection where Trevor is then able to kind of edit them and get them ready for our newsletter. So those are some of the features that I myself use and find really helpful.
Yeah, I love I'm with you on the kind of like simplified interface. At a certain point, I'll use a North Carolina analogy because hopefully everyone's had this experience, but if you've ever taken someone not from North Carolina, and I'm originally not, but I feel like I've adapted well on this particular point. But the first time you take someone not from here through the cookout drive-through is a really unique experience because it's the true like deer in headlights of just like what do I do? Like I can get chicken fingers with chicken tenders. Like and so but all that to say is you've got, kind of the cookout menu, and cookout's great. I eat there as often as I can. But then on the other side, I think you've got like the In-N-Out menu where there's like a very simplified menu, but there's a lot more that you can do with those items once you kind of get in there. But it's much less overwhelming in that sense. And so we found having something be simplified, clean user interface alleviates just a lot of potential for confusion and allows users to kind of, another analogy I use is kind of like beach entrance into their knowledge rather than just getting thrown into the deep end.
I love that analogy because I'm California, Arizona native, so I'm very familiar with In-N-Out. And then I remember I've only been here 5 years. I remember going to the cookout and being like, I need to pick from here and here,
And it's
then
always when there's like 6 cars behind you and you're just like,
Mhm.
I don't know what I'm doing.
And then you have so many milkshake options. Oh, well, milkshakes. All right. So Trevor, how can first-time users access Echo360?
Sure. So I'd love to show some of or the main way that users can access Echo360 for the first time. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and use one of my sample Blackboard courses and share my screen. Okay, so pretty much if you're a first-time user of Echo360, the best way to get into it for the first time is to create a Echo360 course section link in your Blackboard course. And doing so is really easy. All that you do is you can go either to Books and Tools here on the right and then click that menu. And in this menu, you'll just scroll down until you see the Echo360 option, and you can just go ahead and click the plus icon beside it. And that will appear here at the bottom of the course. I'll just go ahead and drag it up. Another way you can find this same option is if you go to this little plus icon right here in your course and then click on it, and you go ahead and click on Content Market. And if you scroll through the list until you see an option titled Echo360, so there's a couple of other Echo360 options here, and we'll talk about one of those other options here later on. But for this particular one, all you can also just click the plus icon at the bottom right corner of the Echo360 option, and that will also add a Echo360 link into your Blackboard course. And once you've added that to your course, all that you do from there is just go ahead and click on the section. And then it would take you to a screen where basically you'll just choose if you want your Echo360 course section to be either for a current or an upcoming semester. In this case, I'll just choose the current semester. And then we'll go ahead and click on Create Echo360 section. And then now we're pretty much in. The system, the way we have it set up is that it will automatically create and link a Echo360 course section to that link in your Blackboard course. So now, anytime you click on that link, it will take you straight into that Echo360 course section. And then from there, you can access the other tabs that Jason showed earlier. So the library, courses, collections, all that you can also navigate to from here. And this is pretty much one of the main ways you can get into Echo360, especially if you're a first-time user. Yeah, that's pretty much how you get into it. And like I said, once you get into Echo360 using that method, it will create your Echo360 account in the same process. So like I said, you'll be able to use all of the Echo360's features once you do that at least once.
That's great. And Jason, I know you kind of went over how to create and upload a video. You showed us that it's like the create button, right? Is that what it says? It says
Exactly.
create. It's very straightforward, and you have those different options of what you can select. So whether it's coming from Zoom or you do the screen capture, is that? Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add about those, the different ways to create?
We're always looking for feedback. One of the things I've loved about Echo360 is just how responsive we are to customer feedback. We've also got some places where that feedback can be provided directly to us, either virtually, or we like to do we call them Echo Collaborate sessions periodically, where they're essentially our product team getting in front of our customers and asking for feedback directly, on the record, what do you want to see, type of situations as well. So as you continue using, if there's things that are I have an idea about that, or things like that, we absolutely want to hear it. We've got a pretty ambitious roadmap for EchoVideo this year as well. And one thing I love to see as we look at the different items is we actually list them by whether or not they are from a customer feature request as well. So we're able to kind of just show every time we do that is hey, this came from you at this school, this came from you at this school. And these are ways that we've been able to make that better. So, yeah, I mean, as you keep going on, we just want to hear it. We want to hear what you like. We also want to hear if something didn't really work out, because that helps us ultimately improve. And I think, being able to, speak directly is kind of equals, is also, it's the hallmark of a healthy partnership, and helps us both get better as a result of that.
Is there a specific place where people could go to provide that feedback? Is there a specific platform we could share that information with our
Yeah,
instructors?
so from EchoVideo, again, we try to make it as easy as possible to access any of that. So as you come in, you click on your little gear wheel up here, and we've got an option for feedback. When you click on feedback, it brings you'll sometimes hear us call it Canny, because that's the actual name of the service, but brings us into our feature request feedback board, not only for EchoVideo, but for all the rest of the ecosystem products as well. So this is where you can come in, you can review a lot of those. All of our like labels, you know, whether they're in, you know, defining, divining, considering, you'll see complete means that they've been implemented, but these are all feature requests created and submitted by you know, fellow partner institutions or organizations, and helps us kind of like prioritize those. Something really cool about it is I know for a fact our product team, like every time you put one of these in, or if you comment or upvote on another one, like they get like a notification in one of our internal communication methods. So like, hey, something's been updated, and they kind of like run over to it to check what it is. So, you know, put those in. You can also, you know, reach out to me. I can submit them on your behalf as well. But we love to see them from y'all directly, because then we know exactly, you know, what the use case is as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, one thing that I really am kind of excited about, an instructor once asked me, like, what is the place that my students can record a video and share for like a project and stuff like that? And Echo360, EchoVideo specifically, is helpful for students in that regard too, because they have the same access to create videos just like the instructors, right? So would you like to go over that a little bit?
Sure. So think about, you know, if you think about what Trevor just showed with like that link getting added into the Blackboard course as a student, you know, I've clicked onto it, and let's just say, you know, this is an older course, but you know, hey, it brings me into my course. Here's my, you know, content or my other captures from my instructor. But if I need to like actually create video as a student, I do the exact same thing an instructor would. Is I come up here, I click on the create button. I can use the Zoom integration, or if I, you know, I'm some users really like it. I've done it a few times, you know, with varying results. It's basically doing like a one-person Zoom meeting and then screen sharing into it and recording it. s- uh, my philosophy from doing this for a number of years is, if something's really working for someone or they feel very comfortable doing it, then I want to like adapt Echo Video to meet them rather than like shoehorning them in. Like, no, you have to do it this way, because, you know, again, the last thing we want to do is seem like an impediment to learning and transformation. So, you know, if someone wants to do a, you know, Zoom recording, do it that way. They can use our Zoom integration, or they can upload it directly. We've also got the software is available for students to download as well. If you click on the downloads option underneath this little gear wheel, you'll be taken to the downloads area to you know, install Universal Capture Personal. So depending on which Mac you may have, or here's our Windows downloads, they're all right there as well. I think most students, I think it's just easiest to do the browser capture. And it functions exactly the same way that it does for the instructor. So you know, just title this browser capture. I'll publish it to my library. If I want to use a virtual background, I can actually click on this little settings right here with the camera on, and now I can choose a different one. So let's say I want to be here in the library. So now I've got, you know, I've got my bookshelves because I'm a studious student, hard at work. And if I want to record a screen, I've got my options here. I'm using Google Chrome, so it gives me some, in my opinion, some really helpful options. Is I can record my entire screen if I want to. I can record a specific program window if I'd like to as well, or I can also record just like a specific Chrome tab. So, you know, let's say this downloads tab, I want to use that one. I'll click share, and I get the notification of that tab that it's sharing. I can see my audio coming down here. Please take it from me as a person who's done this before. Always make sure your audio is moving up and down before you hit the record button. Otherwise, the only way to add audio back in is to re-record it. And I guarantee you the time you forget to check your audio will be the one time you're like, good, I got it first take. Like, I'm being so efficient today. So always make sure your microphone's moving. You know, say the Pledge of Allegiance, count backwards from 10, whatever you like to do, and then hit record. And we give you a 3-second countdown. And now my recording has begun. So I've got a cancel button, a pause button. I've got a running time here, but now I can come over into this other tab, and whatever I'm doing in this tab is going to be recorded. Again, you can also choose an entire program window, or you can choose an entire screen. I just decided to go with the with the whole thing here. But if I go to, let's say, forsythtech.eu, I probably typed something incorrectly there. Yeah, we'll go through Google. Still recording everything. Now I'm here, on the website. And I can go to any tab that I need to, or I can go to any website within this tab right here. So if there's an additional journal article or maybe a different website, it can all be incorporated right in there. As a student, this is helpful because I could have, say, like my PowerPoint or my report up on my screen and then also be looking directly in the camera. And basically it's like I am presenting to the class, just in a virtual environment. All that same information is there. And same with the instructor. Like if you've got your lecture slides up on a screen, you've got your recording going, gives you the option to present it in a virtual environment, very similar to standing up in the room with it behind you, on the projector. But once I'm done recording, I just hit the stop button, and I get this, uploading. Please don't close your browser. And once I see this upload complete, that means I'll see that content in my library here in just a second. So I can quickly start another recording, or if I'm done, all I need to do is just close the tab. And when I head back to when I head back to EchoVideo, there's my browser capture right there. Content, once it's uploaded, has a kind of short amount of time that it needs to like process for playback, and that's kind of just more cloud processes. Once it's uploaded, it all happens in the cloud. So as sort of an added benefit is any recording, if it has to be stored on your computer, it's done as temporarily and as shortly as possible, and all the processing and editing will happen in the cloud from there.
That is great. Thank you for sharing. You made one comment about how you guys like to morph Echo to work for people with what they're currently doing. It made me think of one of our previous EdTech Talk podcasts that we did with our president about teaching with love and how we don't want people to have to make the school work for them. We want to change the school to work for our students. And I would say CTLE, we want to work for our instructors and help them with what is being successful for them and for their students. So it's great that Echo kind of has that same mentality.
Yeah, we sort of measure our success based on the success of our schools as well. And so if we see you guys growing, especially with like, creative new use cases coming out of it, like that's such a great feeling for us as well.
Yeah. So where can instructors go to manage and start to edit their Echo360 videos that they've created and uploaded?
Absolutely. Really, you're going to go to the library, which is, probably you're going to get tired of hearing me say that. For all things kind of like content management, it goes through the library. But I'm going to click on this particular one right here. We also have our little 3 dots menu that gives us many of the same options that we're going to look at. Some prefer to go with the 3 dots. I'm just the kind of guy I like to click on things. So this brings us to our media details page right here. And I can see both of my like multi-channel recordings right here. But if I come down and I click on edit media, this will bring me into our media editor. You get this little disclaimer, and basically what it means is if I'm using this video in, let's say, 3 different courses, it means I only have to edit it once, which is, again, super helpful because you know that those edits are getting synced and pushed out anywhere that it's being used. In this particular case, this is our editor. It's very, I think the term I like to use is like what you see is what you get. So we try to make it as easy as possible to perform like the most common needs with editing. It's not meant to be like a film editor in that sense. There's definitely some industry programs out there for that, but for instruction, getting your content out to your students, we have a fantastic editor. One thing I love about our editor as well is that it's very indestructible when it comes to your content. So if you think about like within Blackboard, you've got the hide button where you're not deleting the content, you're just hiding it from the end user. Our editor also kind of functions in the same way, is that when you're cropping out or like removing content from the video, it's not deleting it, it's just removing it from visibility from the end viewer. The cool thing about that is we also allow you to restore your video back to its original state at any point afterwards. So even if you save it and 6 months from now, you're like, shoot, I need to re-edit this. We've got an option where you can actually like restore your video to the original to be able to do that. So ultimately, very, very helpful. My favorite feature about our editor, I kind of call it like the EKG with the audio meter, is just to be able to see like where are those audio flat spots. As you zoom in, you get a little bit more detailed look at it. When I've been doing some recording, if I, mess up, flub, have to restart my sentence, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll kind of like just count backwards from 10 in my head, and it will create a flat spot in the audio. So I can just kind of like visually see when I come into the editor, like, okay, there's probably something I need to take out right here. The most common edits are almost certainly, hey, I need to take a little bit off the front, I need to take a little bit off the back, and then after that's probably, I got a couple of places I'd like to remove. So we'll go over that here real quickly. I'm going to zoom in just to show you how granular you can get. So if I zoom in all the way, that's 3 seconds, that's 4 seconds. So these are now, 10th of a second kind of hash marks in there. So if something flashes on your screen you didn't want to, or you just needed to remove something, you can be pretty granular with actually removing that. But it looks like in this video, it's, right about the 35-second mark is where somebody begins talking. I can take this little scrubber and I can move it up to that point. But what I like to do is actually drag, say, my playhead bar right here. I always think of it kind of like a first down marker. I've watched too much football, I guess. And then to remove that, I can just use this little trim in tool right here, and it trimmed it precisely to where that spot is. As I zoom out, we'll see at the end, there's a lot of kind of like dead space after this lecture finished. I'll, click on the content and move my cursor right there. And then from the other side, I'll just trim in from the back. So now this video has been, shortened, it's going to end, and there's not going to be just kind of like that dead space at the end. For a lot of instructors, that's helpful. You might say, you finish recording and then there's, 10, 30 seconds of, kind of minimizing windows on your desktop or things like that. And this gives you a chance to edit that out and, clean it up before putting it out to your students. Where a lot of the other edits are like, hey, what if I need to take out content in the middle of the video as well, is a pretty frequent edit. Let's say I'll just use even numbers here. Let's say at the 30-minute mark, it's like, hey, I need to remove this whole minute. I said something or I got a phone call and I needed to pick that back up. What you'll do is you'll click this little hamburger icon, if you want to think of it, triple stack. So maybe pancakes works. Again, it's morning when we're recording this, so breakfast always on my mind. And what we'll do is we'll click split clip. And what splitting the clip does is it basically divides the video clip into separate, independent, segments. So each segment can be edited on its own, and then they just play back seamlessly. So we want to take out 30 to 31 minutes. We'll click ahead, and now we can just use that little trim in tool again, and it jumps right over it. So I'll show you what I mean here, and I'm actually going to speed this up a little bit for dramatic effect. But if we click on like the former section, we'll see it playing, and then it's just going to jump right over that portion and begin playing where the video is. So students are not notified that anything was taken out. They're not notified of how much content was taken out. It's just you had to put an edit in there and move on. So as you come back through, like, hey, I need to take this minute out too. We're going to split the clip. I'll click ahead to where I need that edit to finish, and then I'll just trim it out. So I used to do a lot of like very short tutorial videos, a minute or less type things. A lot of times my actual recording would be 3 or 5 minutes long, depending on my grasp of the English language that particular day. And so there would be a lot of edits and kind of made it look a little bit like Swiss cheese as we went through here. So a number of options there. If you do edit things out, kind of a common example I've used is for a lot of us growing up, there were 9 planets. And then one day there were 8. And so there's, I'm sure, a lot of astronomy lectures out there that had to kind of be adjusted. And we also give the option to essentially insert some clips in there as well. So let's say you had a portion you needed to edit it out because you were talking about the 9 planets or spending a lot of time talking about Pluto as a planet when now it's a dwarf planet. So you can insert a clip into a video, essentially kind of like splicing 2 pieces of content together. So if you needed to do like a quick 3-minute or however long, just sort of like supplemental material to like add in there to provide some additional clarity for your students, you can do that just by clicking insert. And let's say we wanted to use the browser capture we did earlier. I can actually go ahead and I can insert that into both channels right there. And when I get to that point in the video, let's see, where is it? I was a little bit further in. Oh no, where did it go? Oh, there it is. It's right there. It was so short. So, as we click in right here, here's our normal video. And then when it gets to the section that's spliced in, it begins cutting over to exactly what I had put in there. So, very, very quick. When we get to like the end of it right here, we'll see we get to the end here, and now it's just going to jump right back into the existing portion right there. So if you think about some of your videos, I always encourage you, there's like, if you want to reuse it from semester to semester, I would like to say, like, try to be as generic as possible with like the timing. So don't say before the holiday break, say before the end of the semester, things like that. And they kind of lend themselves as like a best practice to, reuse the content, but you, as always, like you can add some things in. We've got a ton of other great stuff. Like if you wanted to set a particular slide or channel, or even if you had a custom file that you wanted to upload, like as a thumbnail image, you can also set that here as well. But once you're done, you can click save, or you can save as. So sort of like a Word document. If you wanted to like save as a new version, you can do that as well. You can clear any unsaved changes, but this is grayed out because I haven't actually clicked like the save button. But if I want to, I can click this, and 6 months from now, a year from now, however long, I can restore this back to the original and basically edit it like it was just like a brand new unedited video from there. So from time to time, that does happen, and it's a really helpful option to have. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to click save right here. And it's going to bring me back out to my library, and then it's going to reprocess that video with the edits in there. Usually doesn't take as long as it does the first time, because the video is almost certainly shorter if you've edited some things out.
Yeah, I think almost everyone, at least I can speak from experience, where you accidentally delete something that you were like, I need that back. How can I get it back? And what's great is you could do it yourself instead of having to like go to IT and beg for help, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I will say from experience, from not only learning it, from teaching it, I think video editing is one of those things where we're really quick to like overcomplicate it in our heads, because we think about someone in a dark room with a bunch of screens and like editing, but we've really made it very, very simple to accomplish the tasks that are probably needed 99.9% of the time to get that content out to their students.
Definitely. All right. So one of my favorite things that I try to encourage instructors when they start using Echo Video is to utilize the polling features and doing the interactive questions within a video for the formative response and knowledge checks and things like that. Can you go over that and how they can track what students are doing and get those analytics back to see how they are progressing?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's jump back in. Again, we're going to start at our library. And it's really, let's use the browser capture that we just recorded And in this case, I'll click on my 3 dots option. Again, you can click on it and do the same thing. The terminology is the same. But if I come down, I'll see this add poll option right here. And this is going to open what we call our interactive media editor. And we call it interactive media because essentially you're going to be taking your video content, and by making it where you have some questions like or activities embedded into it, it's going to generate like a new piece of interactive content, interactive media as a result of that. So it's really helpful. Just a great tool that we have, I think, for all the interruptions that we're trying to like push away, especially as we're focusing on learning. Interactive media provides like an interruptive experience that's actually really important to it. And I've seen some real growth in, again, some North Carolina schools as well, that I think translate to some great outcomes in terms of learning. So here's the editor right here. We can see, I've got some questions already that I've created for some other videos. I draw your attention to that because you might want to reuse the same questions in multiple videos. If you think, like pre and post assessment, icebreaker questions, like why reinvent the wheel every time if you've already done it like once in one class? So in this case, let's say, right at the 5-second mark, let's say I want to go ahead and, add this, what's your knowledge on the subject? I'm gonna go ahead and click add poll. And so with this poll question, it's gonna ask me, a lot, nothing, trying to know more. And then I've also set up this one where when students get it, they're gonna be prompted to provide a justification as well, like a short answer, saying why. As I move into the video, let's say we're down at, the 20-second mark and I want to create a totally new question. I can click this create a poll option. I've got these 5 options right now: multiple choice, short answer, image poll, ordered list, or numerical. Numerical being the answer is a number or a number within like a range that you can set. And so you can add those questions. So let's see right here. I can manually adjust the time placement if I need to as well. Just ask a question. You can also like embed some media as well. So if you wanted to embed like an image or something, I've seen it in like in history courses. Put up a picture of a historical figure and then have like a multiple choice of like asking you to select who this is a picture of. So my question, where would you like to go on vacation? Let's say probably reveal a little bit about myself right here, or somewhere else I would like to go on vacation. And then there. So we'll put those 3. I think you could have a nice time in any one of those. If there's multiple correct answers, you can select multiple, or if you just want to leave it where you just want to do a pure knowledge check, just leave those boxes unchecked. You can require all correct answers for full credit. If you want to require a justification, you can do that. And you can also provide some like general, but also like response specific feedback as well. So if a student says, they want to go to Scotland, then you can put your favorite quote from Braveheart, as your feedback or something like that. However you'd like to do that. And you can click preview here to see what it looks like. Close the preview, and once you click done, when you come back into that video, these little white hash marks indicate where that question is as well. I always do this example. Everyone wants to see what the like hotspot or like the image quiz looks like. So I'll add this one in right here. I'm pretty sure it's my tried and true, my famous click on Randy Savage's sunglasses. You'll notice it is, say, like quadrilateral in terms of like highlighting that area. My encouragement is, as long as you can get the object or the correct answer, if there is one, we do an icebreaker question with Echo360 a lot of like, where in the world are you joining from for some of our sessions? And, it's always fun to see kind of the globe light up between like London and Eastern and Western Australia and North America. But ultimately to say in an like an image quiz where there is a correct answer, students usually click in the center of whatever they think the correct answer is. So in this case, I think just based on the image, they're probably going to click on the pupils based on how that goes in. But we can click save, and this is a great example of our hotspot. And we've got some pretty ambitious enhancements planned, for the remainder of this year with polling in EchoVideo. We're not only seeing more options with the existing question types, but just more question types in general. And that's directly born out of our goal to be very interoperable with the rest of our ecosystem as well.
That's great.
But once I'm done, I've got all my polls, I've got them all added in and saved right here. When I come back out to my library, here's my original browser capture video, and then now here's the interactive portion that we've just made as well. You'll also notice I've also got like little cards in my library for the actual poll questions themselves, as that's kind of like content that you created now. So once you've got it, you can go on in, you can click share, and you can share that right into one of your classes if you'd like to. I did want to, before we get to that, I did want to show you like the analytics available on polling as well. So as you start like adding this into some of your classes, you can click on your content, and we've got our polling area. So it shows you, who got questions right, who got questions wrong, who saw the question, who didn't see it yet. You can filter that by course and by question. And as you have students like answering these, you also see like their first name, last name information start to show in there as well. So you can be, very deep, very detailed in that, and kind of like helping to create those additional like, I don't know, coaching or conversation opportunities with students. Is like, hey, it wasn't for a grade, but I noticed you kind of struggled on this like interactive video, or you've been struggling in class, haven't really seen you, try on any of these questions. Anything you can do to just kind of like open the door to showing students like, hey, like as an instructor, like I'm here for you. My goal is to help you be successful. Like let's work together and find out something that'll work for you. And with that as well, we've got some content specific analytics as well, to where you can see, who viewed, when they viewed. We've got some really important metrics in there, like the total number of views, the total view time. The average view time is kind of like a newer column that I really like that one. And also this, what we call like last viewed. So you can see like, when did the student last view this content as well, which, if it's the end of the semester, probably see some of those earlier videos start to get replayed as you approach finals time and whatnot. So you can view analytics at the content level or at the course level. And I'll use this example one again. We've got a polling and analytics tab specifically for content like published to that course in EchoVideo. So you can quickly see, I don't think this course has any polling questions. They would show up here, but even on like the analytics side, this is where we can see, tables and bar graphs of any analytics and viewing relative to the students in the class.
Yeah, I think how detailed it gets with the analytics is really helpful, to be able to evaluate your videos as well, to see, are they engaging? Are the students watching to the end? If they're not watching to the end, what pieces of information did they miss? And might need to bring back up to make sure that they are comprehending that piece of information in at least some other way if possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and video is kind of funny too. Like in some ways, it really does mirror like an in-class experience. It's like, and we've all been students at some point, and we all realize that moment when like, okay, the instructor's done, and all of a sudden you start to hear like backpacks unzip and things getting shoved into bags. Like there's a similar moment, I think, with video as well. And where maybe like the last minute, like the viewership really drops off because just people are like, okay, done talking, I'm just going to go ahead and click X now and move on. So we can measure it where our analytics are really great as well as, from the student's view, we've got this ability to see like the video view percentage. And I draw your attention to that as, let's say a student clicks play and then drags their cursor to the end of the video. And basically, so now they've effectively watched the first 5 seconds and, the final 10 seconds thing, like, oh, it'll show I completed it. We can actually, track is they did not watch that full video. We can see that they probably only watched about 1% of it. But on the encouraging side of that, what I've seen is that students are rarely going back and rewatching 100% of the video. Maybe, if it's a lecture capture, maybe they're just going back and rewatching the 10 minutes that they were in the bathroom. They had to step out, or if they were late, or, they had to leave early, is giving them the option to review or re-review what they missed ultimately, so they can kind of just take the stress out of their shoulders of like, I don't have to write down every single thing the instructor said verbatim, because I can go back and rewatch it and like reacquaint myself with what we're learning there. So the video views and the analytics are just hugely helpful there as well, for instructors and for students to kind of take advantage of.
Yeah. And Trevor, do you happen to have statistics on the recommended length of videos? I know we like to encourage them to be kind of shorter on nature, just because of attention spans, kind of, and chunking videos. So what kind of recommendation do you provide?
So depending on the length of the video, like let's say, for example, if you have a hour-long lecture that you're looking to kind of break up, I would say you could either maybe break it up into two 30-minute segments maybe, or maybe three 20-minute segments. I know I had one instructor who I work with on recording a lecture for a class, and pretty much most of the sessions that he did on like specific chapters were like an hour long. And I know that he wanted to sort of break that up into like shorter bits. So I'd probably say, at least for content that's like that long, maybe like into 15, 20, 30-minute segments would be good. And of course, if it's like a 30-minute segment, you can even break it up into like three 10-minute segments maybe. So generally, I'd say that's a good recommended time, at least for like long form content that you can probably break up your content into, to kind of make it a bit more digestible.
Yeah, we would totally agree with that too. I've sort of taken the track as like, if you feel like you can break it, you think about like, again, I'm going back to food. The video itself is an uncut pizza, right? You can then cut that pizza into as many slices as you want. And if you eat all of it, you've eaten all of it, regardless of if it was cut into 12 slices or 8 or 16, like however it is. But it is easier to probably consume if it's cut into smaller slices sometimes. And so whatever's going to work easiest for you, we definitely track with the idea that we see, a lot of and the attention span thing is probably way more time than we have like time scheduled for today to like get into. But I mean, think about it even from like, our side is, if we go into, a training or a certification and we see all the videos we need to watch, if it's like, sit down and watch this 1 hour video, like, oh man, like you're checking your time, like this is a lot. But then you see there's like, hey, you have, watch 10 6-minute videos over the course of the next week or something. Like that's way more manageable, or just however long you can break that down. And that's where, going back to the editor, that's where we help with that, is like, you've got your hour-long video. Now I'm going to make my edit for the first 15-minute portion, and I'll save that as a new portion. Then I'll, restore it back. I'll cut out everything for part 2, save that, like do the save as for that one. So you're not having to like record separate videos or really even interrupt like your normal lecturing workflow. You can just take what you already have and actually, cut the pizza down into more or less slices depending on what size you want to do. So, we're definitely in the same lane.
Yeah, I like that, and where you could do your whole talking, so you're not breaking up and losing your train of thought, but then you could break it up into smaller pieces for your students.
And some people will do it where they'll record a separate video for each thing. Like that's just the way their brain works. And ultimately with EchoVideo, we'll support either option for you. Like you don't have to change what you're doing to kind of like meet that. If you want to record multiple videos, go for it. Sometimes that's what I did, but other times I was like, look, I've already got this all recorded in a longer form. I'm just going to chop it up and use that.
Yeah. All right, so switching gears a little bit, we all know that accessibility is really important to help students be successful. So what kind of features are built in to Echo Video that boosts the accessibility of the videos?
Yeah, let me share my screen again. And I am going to start at my library again, but we're also going to jump in a few other places as well. So, as we look at our video content, for example, we've got the ability to generate a machine-generated transcript of everything spoken within that video. Taking that transcript, and this one may be too, it may not have generated yet. So let me back out and grab a new one right here. So this is an older video that I think I've done. It's like September 2024 for you guys. It's my mom's birthday. Happy belated on that one. No, I told her happy birthday on the day that it happened. Trust me, I'm not the bad guy.
Good.
But this is our transcript editor as well. You can edit it. You can also push the transcript over as a closed caption track. Accessibility is not something where it's like we build something and then like, okay, like where can we put some accessibility in? Like it's the first thing we ask about new features is if we do this, how do we also make it accessible? And that's from the ground up within the entire like design and development and ultimately implementation process. And we partner with a third party to provide reviews of all of our resources as well. So when we say that we're accessible, it's not just us reviewing our own stuff. Like we tell someone like find where we need to improve so that we can do that. And ultimately the standards are always changing every so many years as well. And so we always want to be abreast of that and updating because it's requirements that you guys are held to as well. Ultimately there's no one who's 100% perfect. I don't care how big the company is, how many resources they have. And I think that's kind of a feature of accessibility as well, is like there's so many improvements out there to allow someone with those needs to be just as successful as someone like without it, that the playing field is so leveled. So like the innovation's coming hard and fast in that area as well. So with Echo Video, we're always looking ahead at what's coming. With the transcript, again, you can push it out to a closed caption. If I click edit transcript, I get this little, confidence percentage that says, we're, based on the audio and the information, we're 99% confident in its accuracy. In this case, let me type in, here's, Forsyth. It appears one time in here. Trying to think if I want to, maybe let's say I needed this to say Forsyth Tech. Well, here, I'll click Forsyth. I've also got like a replace with. So if I wanted that to say for Sitek, I can just go ahead and replace it right in that one location and it'll like change it out. My last name, Sitek, tends to always, get misspelled by, automated things. So I figure out like, well, how did it spell it? And I'll just go through and like replace all, or sometimes Echo360 gets listed as Echo space and then the words 360. And so I'll change it to, kind of like match the branding or whatever. But once I've done that, I can click save as a new version and click apply. And I'm going to go ahead and I want to apply this new version as closed captions as well. And so now that's pushed out. So whenever somebody goes and clicks on that video, they'll have the option for like to view the transcript, but then they can also see a closed caption file as well with kind of like the additional accessibility options. Where that really becomes very helpful, again, I'm going to jump into one of these courses. I'll use this annotation one real fast. It doesn't look like there's a transcript generated for this video, but what I wanted to show you as well is we've got keyboard shortcuts for everything within Echo Video. So you do not need to use your mouse. If you had that accessibility need, you can basically, use our keyboard shortcuts. The whole page is tabbable, based on what you'd like to do. So I can hit play just by, starting there. I can use pause for my space bar. and I can tab through literally everything to adjust it right on here. With the transcript, it would basically show up it would appear in this tab here. There would be a tab for like a transcript, and it's a dynamic running transcript as well. So kind of like the old like Disney sing-along videos where you've got the little dot that you can follow along. Very similar, just vertical, not horizontal. It's fully searchable. So students who are like, hey, I don't remember if you said microscope or microscopic or what. So you just do a partial like microscope or something like that, and it'll allow you to select exactly where you want to go in that video to create that. We work with all the major screen readers as well for visually impaired. And something that's actually probably by the time you guys are watching this will already be released in EchoVideo, but something we're actually implementing essentially today, I think is what I heard from our product team, is this little widget. It's an accessibility widget called Userway that's coming to EchoVideo. And it's currently live on Echo360.com, which is our company website. But here it's a widget up in the upper corner, and you can adjust essentially how things look based on like what you need. So, there's a dyslexia friendly font that you can switch the entire website into just at the click of a button to help combat that. Legible fonts, just kind of the normal. You can change if you need to go to like a higher contrast, you can invert those colors, especially for some visual impairments out there. That high contrast allows you to actually see what's on the page, whereas like the white background may be a little bit tougher for some. You can do kind of like a darker contrast, lighter. You can turning it off. So you can do bigger text as well. You can go really, really big if you need to. And you can also pause some animations as well. So this is something that we're really excited about. The feedback we've gotten from everyone who's tested it has been like overwhelmingly enamored with having a tool like this, just because it removes the barrier for the user to bring what they need to the tool. We just go ahead and provide it for you, and to have a partner with like Userway to be able to like input that right in. We're providing them feedback on like what our customers need as well. So it's like this very, in the good sense, quid pro quo partnership between all of us, because we can take your feedback, we can provide it to them, and then everyone improves as a result of that.
That's great. And that'll be fun to see the different options that they can get into. All right. And I guess, Trevor, how can we share the Echo360 videos into our Blackboard content and end up sharing it with students? And how can students share it with instructors?
Sure. So I'd be happy to talk a little bit about that. So I'll pretty much kind of highlight just sort of the three main ways that typically I see instructors share video content from Echo360 with their students, which is via sharing them manually to a course section, embedding them directly into their Blackboard course, or by setting up automatic Zoom recording mapping to their Echo360 course section for their Zoom recordings, which that feature in particular is a really good kind of time-saving feature in regards to just kind of getting your Zoom recordings to your students in the least amount of clicks possible for them. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so just to sort of start with the first one, I'll just talk about manually sharing video content from your Echo360 library to an Echo360 course section. So let's say, for example, here I am in my library, and I want to share this video right here from my library to my Echo360 course section. What I'm going to do is essentially I'm just going to click these little three dots right here, and then you'll see there's this little share option right here, and then drop down menu, or go ahead and click on that. And it'll bring up this little share to dialog box here. And for this particular method, we want to go ahead and click on the classes button here in the left side menu. And then we'll go ahead and click on add to class. So in this screen, this is basically where we're going to choose the Echo360 course section that we want to share this particular video to. So for course, I'll just go ahead and choose the name of the course that I was in earlier. So in this case, it was this one right here. Then I'll just go ahead and choose the term, which was 2025 spring. and then the name of the section for it, which is 001. All right, so that's pretty much the first step. So the next step is, so it'll ask you to choose either a existing class in the section or a new class in the section to share it to. A class is essentially, just think of it more like a sort of placeholder in the Echo360 course section that you can share, whether it's video content from your library or interactive media from your library. Basically, it's a placeholder where that content will go into in the Echo360 course section. So in this case, since my class that I just created, my course section, it was empty, we're to go ahead and choose the new class option. And once you choose that option from here, it'll basically ask you to choose a name for the class. So I'll just title it lecture on a topic. All right, so that's good to go. You can also choose a start date for the class if you want. So let's say I want it to be for tomorrow's lecture. So I'll just choose before that. And if you want to choose a specific time, you can choose it there. I'll just do like 8:15 a.m. And then you can also choose just, a duration for however long it is if you want. And also, if you want to put a description in for the class as well, you can put it in here. Otherwise, if not, you can just leave it blank. And these two options down here are if you want to choose a specific availability date for that class in the course section. So you say, I want this video to be, available after a specific, date in the course. You can go ahead and set that now through here if you want to be a specific date, or just, make it not available, or just make it available now. Any of those options are perfectly fine. I'll just go ahead and leave it set to now. And then same thing, if you want it to be unavailable after a certain date, you can choose that as well if you want. If not, you could just leave it selected how it is. And once you have all your preferences set, you'll go ahead and click the share button. And that will go ahead and share it to the course section. So now if I go back to my Echo360 courses, and let me see if I can find the one that was here. I believe it was this one. Yep, you can see here, this is the video that I just shared to it. And if I click on it, now it can be viewed normally by anyone who accesses the course section. So
it's a great example of our closed captioning as well, Trevor.
Oh, yes, I do have closed captioning enabled for this particular video. So you can see it comes up right here at the bottom, and they can see the closed captions for it. No problem at all. So yes, that is another really nice feature about transcripts and closed captioning, is that it does show up pretty much any instance that you have of the video shared with your students, which is really, really handy. So that's one method. Another method that I want to cover is, let's say you're in your Blackboard course and you want to embed an Echo360 video just directly into your Blackboard course. So the way that we do that here is you can use the Echo360 Media Embed tool. And to find that tool, what you do is basically in the course content view, you'd want to go ahead and click on this little plus icon right here. And then we'll choose the content market. And we're going to want to scroll down this list until we see an option titled Echo360 Media Embed Tool. And we'll go ahead and click on that option. And when you first click on this option, it'll basically take you to this screen where you can choose either an existing video from your Echo360 library to embed, or if you want to record or upload a new piece of media to embed into the course, you can use these two options down here to do that as well. For this particular example, we're to go ahead and just choose the top option since we already have a video in our library that we want to embed. So I'll click this little Launch Media Picker icon. And in this screen, this is basically where all of the videos that are in your Echo360 library, be it videos you recorded or uploaded, or if it's videos that were shared to you by someone else that you have access to, all these videos will appear in this little scrolly list here on the right. And of course, you can search for specific Echo360 videos in your library if you want. If you know the name of it off the top of your head, I'll just like text lecture. Yeah, so for example, I want to find this video. Additionally, if you have other filters, you can search for it by. So if it's a video or just an interactive video with like a poll in it, for example, you can check that little box here. And same here, you can sort it by date created, name, all that type of stuff. So once you find the video that you want to embed, you'll go ahead and click on it to select it. There'll be a little checkbox in the thumbnail of it. And we'll go ahead and scroll down all the way to the bottom here until we see this little button that says next. We'll go ahead and click on it. And this screen is essentially where it'll give you a couple other additional options if you want to use that for the embedded videos. So if you want to change the size, start time for it, etc., You can choose all those options here. If you're cool with it all, you can just leave it set to the way it is. That's perfectly fine. And then we'll go ahead and click this embed button right here in the bottom right. And you can see here, now our video is embedded in the course. So all we do is just click on it. And then our students can go ahead and view it normally. And if you have transcription / closed captions enabled for the video, they will also appear as an option here in the toolbar. I believe for this particular video, let me see here. I think it has a transcript for it. I might not have applied it to closed captioning since it's an older video, but this one does have a transcript. So if you have transcripts and closed captioning like enabled for that video, the option to turn that on will be here in the option bar as well, and the students can view it. So that's essentially how you can just directly embed an Echo360 video into your Blackboard course. The last method that I want to show of kind of other way you can share videos from Echo360 to your students is, so if you're using Echo360 for your Zoom captures, for example, so anytime that you make a Zoom recording, that will automatically go into your Echo360 library. And then from there, you technically could manually share it from your library to a course section. But let's say, for example, that you want to set it up to where if you have a specific Zoom meeting for a specific class and you want the recording for that specific meeting to go into a Echo360 course section that you set up for that class, and pretty much just like a one-step process, you can do that by, if you're in your Echo360 library, you can click this little gear icon in the top right corner and then click on account settings. And then, let me see here. I might have to switch over to the instructor view real quick. One moment. Okay, we change over to instructor. Okay, so now let me go back to that option in the account settings. There it is. Okay, so like I said, you would click on the gear icon and then click on account settings. Then from this menu that appears, you'll go ahead and click the Zoom tab on the left. And then if we look at the bottom here, there's this little option that says automatically create Zoom lessons in Echo360 sections. So basically, this list, it will automatically populate all of the current Zoom meetings that you have created for your classes. And they'll all appear basically in this list here. And over here on the right, you can see there's this little drop-down menu that says Echo360 section. And this is essentially where you can choose if you have a specific Echo360 course section set up for your Blackboard course. And like I said, if you want to have, the Zoom recordings for that specific course go into that course section you created, you can essentially click the drop-down menu beside it and then choose the Echo360 course section that you're using for that course. So in this example, let's say if it was this section, we go ahead and click on it. And then we go ahead and click on save. And now you can see it says updated successfully. And now what that'll do is essentially anytime that you make a Zoom recording for using that specific meeting, not only will that recording automatically go into your Echo360 library, but it'll also automatically be added into the Echo360 course section that you set up for that class. So basically, all your Zoom recordings will automatically be added into there. And that's just a really good convenience feature to where you can set it up to where anytime you make a Zoom recording, it'll go into that section. And then all our students will need to do is just click on your Echo360 course section link, and then they'll be able to see all of those Zoom recordings that you make for that class as they're created. So that's just kind of highlighting three different of the main ways that I see people use Echo360 for sharing content with their students.
That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And for Jason, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, when you're using that like direct embed method, into Blackboard, let's say you've got multiple videos in a unit that you wanted to put in there as well, where you see that little checkbox indicator, you can select like multiple videos and actually embed them as a playlist. So you could put like, hey, I've got 10 videos for unit 1. Embed them right into like the introduction for unit 1, and all from one location, from one player, embedded right in there. You can watch and kind of like track through each video as you go through that. And what's really neat is you've got the ability to oh, where was I going? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. You've also got the ability to like copy that really easily as you're like importing courses from semester to semester. And because the users are authenticated into Blackboard and then interacting with the Echo video content, we can also track that analytics based on like the user as well. Kind of like we reviewed, being able to see like what's their average view time, all that sort of stuff.
That's great. And then what about students that are recording videos for a project that might need to submit them to a teacher or do something with a class? How can they share those items with their instructor or class?
Sure. So I can highlight one way that they can do that. So I'll go ahead and just share my screen one more time. So for example, so let me just go ahead and click on this assignment that I have right here. So here in the instructions, let's say I want to go ahead and embed a video, Echo360 video in the instructions. So I'll go ahead and click the text editor right here. And as you can see, there's a bunch of options at the top. But if we go ahead and click this little insert content icon right here, and then we go ahead and click on content market, you can see here that it also brings up all the options that are in the content market that are available. In this instance, let me just go ahead and click the Echo360 Media Embed tool. And just like before, we'll go ahead and just choose a video from our library to embed. So just choose this one. Then we'll scroll to the bottom, click next, then click embed. And then it'll pull this little menu up here. We'll go ahead and click on insert. And as you can see here, it pulls up a little embedded version of our video. So I'll just put a little text to say, please watch the above video. And then I'll just go ahead and click on save. And as you can see here, it'll pull up in the instructions. There's a little embedded version of our video that our students can go ahead and watch. So that's another way that you can use the Echo360 Media Embed tools, that you can embed stuff directly into assignments if you'd like.
Yeah, I think that's great, especially if you're building a document where you have text and you want to communicate with text that you wrote. You could also put a video directly in those documents that you create wherever you see that plus, which is fantastic. So, Trevor, how can students, if they were creating a video project for their course, how can they share that with their classmates or with their instructor?
Sure. So probably one of the easiest ways that they can do that is also by using the Echo360 Media Embed tool. So let's say, for example, that our instructor gave us a discussion board. They want us to record a video lecture to upload for it. So if the student goes into Echo360 and records their video, then what they can do is, let's go ahead and head over to discussions, and I'll just go to this discussion board right here. And so if they're going to enter the response, so if they go ahead and click on the type of response box, and then this little option bar will be available to them at the top. So if they click on insert content and then go to the content market, there won't be as many options available as students as is shown here, but essentially they'll be able to scroll through the list, and they'll be also able to see the Echo360 Media Embed tool. And just like we demonstrated earlier, they can go ahead into it, and then they can say, for example, if they already recorded the video, they just go ahead and find it in their library and select it, then embed it, and then insert it. And as you can see here, it'll pull up their video right there. And if they click on respond, you can see here that it embedded their Echo360 video in their response in the discussion board. And the same goes for if they're submitting for an assignment, they could just go ahead and use that little plus symbol in the content market and embed their Echo360 video into their response or submission right there. So it's a really nice, convenient way that students can share their Echo360 content with their instructor or with others.
That's great. And I think doing it this way, we're not taking up space on Blackboard, which is fantastic because Blackboard does have a limit that we want to make sure to stay under. So utilizing the space that is available in Echo is fantastic. Well, I think we've covered all the topics that I think it's big overall of Echo 360 videos. But do you guys have anything that you want to add for our instructors?
Overall, just thank you guys. Again, if you're watching this and you're in Winston-Salem, I'm probably 30 minutes away from wherever you're sitting. So I love to come by and see campus again and meet you and shake hands. Something I really pride myself on is getting out and meeting with faculty, making sure that your voice is heard with all of our products. But if you've never used EchoVideo before, I think you're gonna love it. I've seen it firsthand be very transformative in some of my former institutions, and that goes from users who are certainly like open and already using some technology or like video on campuses, all the way to the other end of folks who like I've never done video before, or like I still print out all my worksheets for my students. I've seen those instructors leverage like video and see the quality of work that their students are submitting like really increase as a result of that. Even had one instructor where she taught an English course face to face and she taught an asynchronous online version. And she noticed that her online students were submitting higher quality work than her face to face students because they had the option to rewind, go back 10 seconds, and just be like, let me listen to this until I get it. And so she started actually taking those videos and putting them as supplemental material into the LMS for the face to face course. So all of the students now were actually had the equal number of resources to go back and review and re-review. So once you've got this, I know that you'll find it just a super powerful and helpful tool, not only for you to get the information to your students, but for your students to acquire the knowledge and learning transfer that they're looking for.
Agreed. Trevor, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just want to second what Jason's saying, or I just want to second what Jason said and just reiterate that Echo 360 really is a great tool that we have available at the college. And there's a lot of really awesome, cool stuff that you can do with it. And just it's a great way to make your content, digestible and accessible for students. And yeah, if anyone wants to learn more about using it or just wants to see more resources on it, the CTLE offers some great resources. We have a YouTube playlist with a couple of different tutorial videos on using Echo 360. We also have a section in our faculty online resource center that can highlight Echo 360 and just show a little bit more details about it. But yeah, if anyone's interested, just feel free to reach out, to a member of the CTLE team, and we'll be happy to show you more about it.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for joining. I know these tools are great resources for our instructors because we want them to have the ability to really focus on their students and their needs because we really want to be student focused here at the college. So thank you for joining us on this episode of EdTech Talk. Tune in next time for more insights, discussions, and inspirations in the world of higher education. Until then, keep on leading and learning.